leave it in the comment section. I will find it. But if you feel that you want to ask in person also, that's also another good idea, right? Just so you don't get a question, I would normally advise that you have maybe a notebook handy. The Zoom application also has a note function where you can jot down those questions, and I'll do my best to attend to them as much as I can. Now, we're going to start off with 2 activities, right? The first activity is sort of like a quick exercise, just to recap, to juggle our minds a bit on what we talked about yesterday and how far now we comprehended, we could comprehend what it is that was taught, right? The questions are not too, they are not too tricky, they are not too tough. So just relax your mind and attempt them. Now, for this activity, just like yesterday, it won't happen on the Zoom application, right? I have to take you to another website. And this time around, that website would be quizzes, right? Some of us may be used to that already, but I'm going to share my screen now and show you what you want to do, right? So presently, in a second or less than that, you should see my screen being shared to you now. It's Chrome browser. So I need you to go to your browser, minimize the Zoom meeting that you are on now, and go to your browser, right? Whether it's Chrome, Opera Mini, Mozilla, Firefox, Safari, whatever it is, just go there. And you want to enter in this website, joinmyquiz.com. Joinmyquiz.com. No space, right? Don't add any space to it. Joinmyquiz.com. Joinmyquiz.com. Now, the moment you're on joinmyquiz.com, just like yesterday, you'll be prompted to enter a game code, right? Enter a code. And the code you want to enter in is 820008. 820008. 82008. Again, the website is joinmyquiz.com. And just to make things a bit easier, I would also do well to, post this as a chat. I'll post this as a chat in the group. So if you are still on Zoom, just locate that chat and click on the link, right? I would assume that your mobile device will pop up with your browser, and then you can enter the code 820008, right? And then click on join. Once you've clicked on join, enter your name and then click on start. It's as simple as that. So far, I can see that we have quite a number of people are joined already. I can see Matthew, Ojo, Dara, Akintola, Smart, Adefemi, Yusuf, Abdulsalam, Oluwakemi, Christiana, Afolabi, Fulayo, Adesonya. Thank you. All right, let me just allow a few seconds for people to join in this session. Remember, right, relax, right? The questions are not too tough, right? They cover sort of some of the key aspects that we talked about yesterday, right? Even if you were not in that yesterday's meeting, I would still encourage you to try it out, right? Try it out. You'll be amazed, right? So, because I feel that some of those questions are also intuitive, right? And that can give you a sort of, can get you up to speed with what we've done so far. More people have joined. Thank you. So we have 28 participants so far. Just one more time, right? You can either minimize the browser, your Zoom meeting, go to your browser and enter joinmyquiz.com, no space, right? Enter joinmyquiz.com, and when that website is loaded, you want to enter the code 820008. That's 3 zeros, right? 820008. And then enter your name and click on start, right? Another solution is just click on the link right there, and that should bring you just into the meeting, right? So I'm going to start now. On your end, it should have started on your end, right? So you want to go in and start attempting the question, right? I have someone's name is 0008. I think your name should have been what you should have used there, right? So take your time, right? And then we'll begin with this quick activity. I can see presently we have Abiodun topping the charts, Adaize, Matthew, Joe, Smart, topping the charts there. Right, I'm excited to see how it pans out in the end. Right, I'm excited to see whose name would pop up at the end of all of this. 10 questions, 42 participants so far. Exciting turn of events, right? Christiana Abandi is currently topping the chart, followed by Adaize. Remember, take your time, relax, read through the questions, read through the options, and your pace. And adapt right back into it, topping the chart.
Hello, what do we do after answering all questions?
Once you're done answering all questions, that's all. You can just come back to the meet, to the Zoom meeting rather. You can come back to the Zoom meeting and let's just give, say, 1 or 2 more minutes for others to be done. And we will take off from there. How do I access the questions? So you want to go to the link that I posted. I posted a link a few minutes ago. It's just like 3 charts away from you if you scroll up. Click on that link, right? And then enter your name and then start, right? Another way you can go about that is to open your browser and go to joinmyquiz.com. Joinmyquiz.com. No space, joinmyquiz.com. Right, the moment you are on joinmyquiz.com, you want to enter a code, right? And the code is 820008. 3 zeros, 820008. All right, so I'm beginning to see that several Participants are done, which is good. You can self-reflect now. How did you do? Was it tensed? Were you tensed? Just do a little self-reflection wherever you are. So for YouTube, because we've not hit the 500 participant mark, one of the information the admin shared earlier was that we won't get any to put it on, right? But if you are still having issues joining the meeting, you won't tell that person to quickly reach out to the admin, right? The admin can make the best, they can make the best decision on what to do, right? If a tangible number of people are asking for it to be on YouTube, then hopefully it will be taken to YouTube. So that's as much help as I can. Our network here is bad. Okay, I see. So please just do that quickly, and let's see the outcome of that. Thank you so much. Okay, so far so good. We still have quite a number of people that aren't done yet, so I'll just refresh my page now and see. Okay, so Adaize top the chart. Dara, Femi, Fumalayo. All right. It's interesting. Event. Okay, so we still have some people like Lawal Kazim to attempt the work, but please do attempt it. Thank you. Thumbs up to everyone who's put in their input so far. Right. So I'm going to quickly switch the screen I'm presenting now. So forgive me and then allow me to do that. And then we can jump right into what we have to do today. If you can still hear me, please let me know. Give me a feedback. I think I've been taken out of the meeting. Just give me a feedback if you can
No,
still
we can hear. You're here. You're still here.
Okay,
but
thank
we can't
you.
see your screen. The screen is blank.
Yeah, I can hear you, but I can't see you. The screen is
Yes, the
blank.
screen is black. Yeah.
Okay, apologies for that. I think my account was taken out at some point, but I'm back now. So let me just present, like I said earlier. Okay, so now I'm going to need, all right, just allow me fix this. I believe everyone should be able to see the screen I'm presenting now and that everyone can hear me clearly.
Yes, we can see and we can hear you clearly.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much for that feedback. All right, so let's get into it. So yesterday we started looking at a few things. We started with an introduction to STEM, what STEM is. We looked at the different pillars: science, technology, engineering, art, and math. We talked about how that STEM is that interdisciplinary approach to teaching these different subjects, right? These different subject matters. But beyond the subject matters, we also emphasize that the skills developed through STEM is equally as important, right? Because even though you can, even though the STEM pillars are specific to science, technology, engineering, art, and math, the skills that are being developed in students or teachers who practice STEM or who teach STEM cuts across many other subjects, right? It cuts across many other subjects. So you can apply STEM, right? You can apply STEM to subjects that are not even within, that are not, directly mentioned in that pillar: science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, right? You can apply. There was a question where someone or several people asked, I teach, I'm in the commercial department. How does STEM apply to me? Can I teach STEM and all of that? And I give an emphatic yes, right? The newer inclusion of art in STEM, making it STEM, even opens, broadens the purview of STEM even further, right? But even without the art part of it, you can say apply STEM principles, STEM skills, or every subject that you can possibly think of, whether it's in the social discipline, wherever, right? And then we also look at the importance, right? We talked about the global significance of STEM. We brought the Nigerian context, and we also looked at the statistics, right? And statistics are quite important because they can help you make informed decision, right? So if there's a trend of people, teachers, economies moving towards STEM, then it's an indication that there's something about, and it sort of gives us that extra push. Okay, let's go in this direction, right? We looked at the skills developed, and we talked about PBL and integrating it, what PBL is. We talked about the gold standards of project-based learning. Very importantly, we did an extensive difference between project and project-based learning, right? They are not the same. All of those we covered in the last class that we had yesterday. For those that are meeting me for the first time, my name is Solomon. Ijishat in Kolawole. I'll be the one facilitating these sessions, right, that we'll be having. Above all of this, I like to consider myself as a concerned educator, right? It's the concern that I have that, prompts me to do all of the things that I do, right? So today where our plan is to go into, right, delve into the STEM curriculum that we have made available, right? It's taking a lot of thoughts, a lot of consultation to arrive at this curriculum, right? And the goal of this curriculum is, of course, to help you deliver exceptional lessons, right? At the core of, the thoughts that went into this curriculum is we considered schools in the rural environment as well as those in the urban environment. So whatever category you find yourself, or the school, whether it's the public sector or the private sector, you would definitely find comfort in the same curriculum that we have put together, right? And not just the STEM curriculum that we've put together, even the skills, right, that we've put into this curriculum, right? We've also done justice to even, helping teachers include the Bloom's taxonomy, right, alongside the objectives inside of this curriculum, right? So, it's a free, it's a free dive for you now, right? All you just need to do is to take that curriculum, look at it, and then apply and teach, right? You're not doing any other, brainstorming or deep thinking and all of that. There are guides as provided inside the curriculum, as we will soon see. All right, so now this is how we went about the curriculum. So we took each of the pillars, which is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. We separated them, right? And so under science, we started to, ask ourselves, what is perhaps the most important things that kids should be learning, right, in science, particularly for the secondary school level, right? And then we broke this down into 3 areas, right? Earth and space science, biological science, and physical science. Now, let me sort of put a balance at this point. Now, I know that in the Nigerian curriculum, you don't necessarily have it spelled out this way or broken out this way, where you have space science, biological science, and physical science. If you were teaching a school where you apply the English curriculum or British curriculum, whichever you have there, or American curriculum, whichever you have there, it's a bit broken down. And so you may find a GS student, GS2 or S3 student saying, oh, I'm doing physics, I'm doing biology, I'm doing chemistry, right? So they are not, 2 different line of thought. It's just that our curriculum, the Nigerian curriculum, doesn't capture it broken down into these different pieces. I'm very sure by the time we open this curriculum now, you begin to see all of the similarities and all of the, topics that in your scheme in the Nigerian curriculum. Likewise, those who are teaching the foreign curriculum, you would also find that you can relate, better. Now, when it comes to earth and science, what we were basically looking at was, getting students to explore their ecosystem, right? Weather patterns, solar system, which are things really that they would have had background in the elementary coming to the secondary, right? And of course, when you, in addition to whether it's earth or space science, whether it's biological science, whether it's the physical science, these 3 core areas that we've divided the science pillar into. We have also done justice to taking each of these core areas and splitting them into the 6 classes that you have in the secondary system, right? Whether you are in GS1, GS2, GS3, sorry, I was about to say GS4, S1, SS2, and senior secondary school 3, right? We've splitted earth and space science into these 6 levels. Same thing, biological science, 6 levels. Physical science, also 6 levels. So wherever you find yourself, you can easily just go to the level, go to the core area, and then, pick out what you feel you want to do. The project-based learning block that you want to do or you want to teach to kids. right? Along the way, for those that are in commercial or arts department, I'm going to share with you. So I had a bit of work cut out for me overnight, right? Because I know that some of you were, wondering, asking that, okay, if I'm in this department, can I still teach STEM, or how do I go about it? And I'm going to give you a suggestion that I was able to come up with, right, between that time and now, right? Interesting suggestions, in my opinion, but I'll leave that to, decide and see what you can do. So you can even take that, you can take, all of this mathematics or technology that are in STEM and apply it to your commercial or your arts classes, as the case may be. Okay, so all right, so no question for now. So let's quickly move on. All right, so now let's go to the technology part, the technology pillar, right? Science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. For the technology pillar, we've divided that into coding and robotics. These are very key areas of the technological pillar, right? Now, there are some other curriculums that you will find out there that even expands the technological part even further, right? I know that there are curriculums today that are beginning to infuse machine learning, artificial intelligence, and all of that. They are teaching it to kids, right? Right from the elementary session, right? But if you have the leisure, right, to also include that maybe in your extra studies and take extra PD courses that you can sort of take on that extra weight, perfect, fantastic, right? But with coding and robotics, you should be just fine, right? You should be just fine, at least for the now, right? Coding, robotics are not going anywhere. They are core parts of the technology pillar of STEM, right? So you should be just fine with that. I'll do justice to to what coding and robotics, what the technological pillar involves, but we've also done the same thing like we did to the science pillar. We've broken coding into 6 levels, right? 6 levels that correspond with GSS 1 to SS3, just like we did for the science pillar. Let me mention also quickly for the science pillar that for the biological science, so I've talked about Earth and space science, the justification that we had. We wanted children, teenagers, to get to know their environment much more, weather patterns, solar system, their ecosystem, habitat, and all of those things. For the biological science, we talked about life cycle, biodiversity, food chain. At this point, you can begin to relate and say, okay, this is what topic it falls under and what class it falls under, for whether I'm teaching Nigerian curriculum or whether I'm teaching the foreign curriculums. And of course, under physical science, we've covered things like electricity, energy, force, and motion, and all of that. So for today, we would only delve deep into science and technology. On Friday, which is going to be the 3rd virtual session, we are going to cover engineering and mathematics, right? So for today, we're only covering these 2, science and technology. On Friday, we're going to do engineering and mathematics, right? So in addition to science and technology that we'll be covering today, we're also going to take a look at a PBL planner, right? I'm going to do a quick, expose to what a PBL planner is. I'll show you an example of a PBL planner, and we can then begin to get our hands dirty to, look at how to actually come up, how to build our own PBL planner, right? So expect that starting from today, the exercise that you did earlier on, before we jumped right into today's presentation, was an exercise that was meant for a recap for yesterday. But because of the time that we closed yesterday, it was about 4 hours plus session, having to still have people do the exercise would have been too much, right? Because we already stretched everyone. Everyone was coming back from school. And so that's why I had to quickly do it early today. So expect that for tomorrow, which will be Thursday and Friday, you'll begin to find exercises, tasks that will be required of you. Remember that at some point we had mentioned in the group that you are going to build, you're going to, for yourself, you know, come up with a PBL plan, right? It's part of the certification requirements, right? You come up with that planner. We'll see what you've done. And when we do have our physical meeting, our physical lecture, we'll definitely pick out some of the best, showcase some of the best that, you know, that came in, right? So please have that at the back of, let's have that at the back of our minds, right? Now for the engineering pillar, we've broken that down into areas like design, process, and innovation, and then food production. Those are very interesting things that we've done under the engineering pillar. When we get to the engineering pillar on Friday, you understand much more on why we've, you know, zeroed in on those aspects, right? And very importantly, again, like we've done to the previous ones, we've broken down each of these core areas into 6 levels, right? And these 6 levels will match up with GSS1, GSS2, GSS3, 4, SS1, SS2, and SS3, whatever class, whether you are teaching the senior secondary or the junior secondary. And then lastly, mathematics, we've done data, shapes, and representation. Data, shapes, and representation. And these, you know, bring all of the difference, right? They bring all of the difference, whether you're in commercial department, science department, art departments. These are things that will bring all of the difference to what it is that you are teaching. Now let's zero in on the science pillar. But let's zero in on the science pillar and get a glimpse of, you know, what you know, we're talking about in the science pillar. So remember, I said that we've taken the science pillar and we've broken them down into 3 core areas, right? As long as it is science, whether you're in the junior level or in the senior secondary school level, right? These 3 things are really all that you will cover in your entire secondary school year or your entire secondary school experience, right? You will learn things about Earth and space, right? You'll learn things about biological science, and you'll learn things about, you know, physical science, right? There's no escaping it in whatever level that you find yourself. All right, so for the Earth and space science, right, students explore the Earth structure, weather patterns, and, you know, the solar system. Some of the PBL examples that come to, you know, that comes to mind would be, sorry, a notification popped up on my end now. Let me just be sure that it's nothing too serious. Okay, someone should move. Yes, this topic. I think that will be shared, right? Can this be applied to elementary level too? Yes, it can be applied to the elementary level, right? It can be applied to the elementary level. I found that in the elementary level, particularly for the, you know, English curriculum, foreign curriculums, it's also broken down into these categories that you see here, right? So yes, you can apply it to the elementary level. And you'll find that the concepts that are covered there are things that they can relate with even at the elementary level. One of the PBL example that comes to mind is designing a weather station to monitor local weather conditions, right? Right. One of the ideas that you know that comes to mind for this particular pillar, right? Remember that for this core area, rather, there are 6 levels, right? So this is just one of the things that you can be thinking about, right? One of the, you know, PBL project that you can be thinking about, right? It doesn't mean that this is, you know, cast in stone. You have to do this particular, you know, PBL suggestion. No, this is just one of the things that it should just inspire your mind to think. When I show you the curriculum itself, right? For every level under the Earth and space science, we've also done well to give examples of projects that you can work on, right? For every of those levels. Same thing for biological science or physical science. And the idea of building a weather station is, you know, track local weather conditions over a period of time, right? They analyze data to understand weather patterns, compare them with global climate trends. Now, you may think that that is impossible, right? That is very possible, right? It's just collecting data, I know that we've done miniature versions of this, right? We've done miniature versions of this within the school environment, not, large, not at large, right? But we've done miniature, what's the name, versions of this within the school environment. And students take on the role of meteorologist, right? Data analyst or presenters. At the end, they would have to present their findings, right? And remember, that's the part of making your, your product public, right? Making your product public, right? Students can create reports, they can create graphs, they can create models, they can present their findings, they can discuss the impact of weather on their local environment, right? Local environment. You can find a way, if you want to, you can connect it to the global environment at large, having in mind that one of the SDG goals, relates to that, right? Climate change and all of that. And so that's a wonderful consideration that you want to put at the back of your mind, right? If you are picking any topics from Earth and space science. Secondly is the biological science, right? And for that, we just focus on living organisms, right? Ecosystems, human body, and all of that. That's what we focus on, right? And, they can create a model of the ecosystem to study interactions between different species, right? I've seen a type of these kind of, ideas in schools, but I don't see a lot of schools, stretching it to as far as it can get. Like, for example, you find schools that maybe have a poultry or an animal farm, right? Or they have a class pet and things like that, right? There are some schools that, have those things. And if you're even in the rural environment, right, it's easy for you to find students or, families that, have those things. Or, some schools who offer a Greek, have those farms and all of those things, whether it's an animal farm or the other ones that you have. But at best, what they have those things are as in their what they have them for in their school is just maybe a project at most, right? But you can flesh out that that idea, right? And start thinking of self-sustaining ecosystem, right? I was inspired at some point. I'd seen, this was like 2 years ago or 3 years ago. It was around that pandemic, right? I think right about the time we were coming out from pandemic and schools were resuming. I saw a school who actually did an hydroponics, right? Hydroponics simply means planting with water, right? No soil, right? No soil. And it opens the minds of, kids to start thinking, right, about, all of these possibilities, right? They are, when are we going to move? And the funny thing is, statistics will show you that plants that are grown hydroponically tend to be more healthy. They do better than plants that, you grow, in the soil, right? But sadly, a lot of people don't know about hydroponics. And so I saw that school, they fleshed out that entire hydroponics. So they created an hydroponic farm and they planted vegetables or fruits like tomatoes, right? And you needed to see the outcome, right? It was lovely, and that was done also at a secondary level, not at a university level as a university project and all of that. And the amazing thing that I love that they did was they then did like a trade fair where they sold the fruit or the produce from that from those hydroponically grown plants. So you can have student thinker, around that, right? Interaction between different species in an ecosystem, right? They get to learn about biodiversity, food chain, and all of that. And they can record, make predictions as as time goes on. And those are useful skills that they will need for the physical science. Let me just quickly rush to the physical science. What we've thought that students want to focus on are the usual, right? They learn about forces, they learn about motion, they learn about energy, they learn about matter. And just like I said, for the biological science, there are many, 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 many schools that carry out projects that fall within this jurisdiction. But what they don't seem to realize yet is that they can push the knowledge even further, right? That knowledge can be taken to the extreme, right? But all they just give these students is just like a tip of the iceberg, right? If it's even up to that, right? And a lot of time, the blame really isn't even for the students, is that the teachers don't even realize that that they can do much more with all of these topics. So you can have your students conduct several experiments, demonstrate the principles of energy. They can do a case study, look for maybe systems around them that they can improve the energy consumption, make energy transfer more efficient. They can prototype. They can do all of this, wonderful stuff. They get to take on the roles of, designers, testers, engineers, lots of wonderful things that, can come out that learning experience. Let's immediately see what's inside what we've done for the science pillar of the curriculum that we would be sharing. I'm going to present my screen. I'm going to stop presenting this and I'm going to present that screen, right? If you also want to join me, you want to walk through on your end, you can just go to the link that's being displayed underneath your screen, this link here, right? You can go to that link and it should take you to a PDF version of the curriculum. If you are on your laptop, you can scan the QR code. That should also take you to the same location. So let me just take you there now and show you what we've done. So share. Okay, so right about now, I'm going to need a feedback. Please let me know if you can see my screen now, or if you are still seeing the presentation, right? You should be seeing the curriculum now, no longer the PowerPoint presentation.
Yes, I can.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, so off the top.
Yes, I can see it.
All right, thank you so much. So this is the Earth and Space Science, right? And you can already see that from level 1, we've broken it down, right? We've broken it down into themes and given you a brief description of what we were, trying to capture in that theme, right? These are not cast in stone, like I said. These are things that you can adapt, right? We've tried as much as possible to configure it in such a way that whether you are teaching in the rural or urban setting, private or public, you can still make use of this curriculum. So we just looked at the most important, right? And for the level 1, which will, coincide with GSS 1, right? These are some of the things that you can expose them to in science, right? I see that the hand is raised up. Okunloye David Sunday. I think you can quickly unmute your mic just before I start with the presentation. Please unmute your mic and let's hear you. Okay, so someone has shared the link already. I can see Mr. David, please unmute your mic. If you are not available now, I think Mr. Femi Michael Jolayemi, you can also unmute your mic and let's hear you. Oh, Mr. Michael, I think.
Yeah, so sorry. I wanted to request for the link, but I've gotten it from the chat. Thank you.
Okay, all right. Thank you. Welcome, sir. All right. So, Mr. Okunloye, I don't know if you're still there. Okay, on Onanusi Babajide, please, you can quickly unmute your mic.
Yeah, good evening, sir.
Pay attention to the time so that we don't extend our time today. Yes, please.
Good evening, sir. Thanks for this privilege, sir. Sir, wow, I was really impressed with the breakdown, sir. Sir, as a person, I'm quite working on what's it called? It's like a Guinness Book of Record attempts. You understand? I teach mathematics and physics. So, and the program is just for 200 hours. So I'm looking for, before now, I'm already working on a scheme that we connect like from primary 4 to SS3. But I think what you are giving us here is really, it's a very simplified form of what I've been looking for. And thank you very much for this great opportunity. So I don't know if maybe at the end of the program and maybe on Friday, we'll be able to have what's it called? Maybe a PDF format of the scheme. So one can even at my spare time or at our spare time, we can connect, okay, primary 4 maths linking to second term, looking to third term, joining it with primary 5, primary 6, linking it to GS1. So one can go in that pattern. Even if one wants to do any international presentation, it will just be from simple to complex. So thank you very much, sir.
You're very welcome. You're very, very, very welcome. Thank you so much for that. And I think I can dare say that this should suit the purpose that you've mentioned, right? If I did understand you well, then this should suit the purpose that you mentioned. And I also want to say quickly a big, kudos from here, from my end, right? For, the Guinness attempts, right? 200 hours for, I believe maybe for math and physics at the same time, right? But for whatever purpose, right? Thank you so much. Staking your head up high, putting, the education at the limelight. I really wish that everything pans out just the way you wanted, just the way you've dreamed of, that everything, at the end becomes a success, right? If there are things you need also, you need support. I think every teacher here, every educator here wouldn't, budge or be reluctant to, offer you that support. Right?
Yeah, thank you very much.
Hello.
Thank you.
Right. Hello.
So well done, sir. Okay, so let me quickly jump right back into the presentation. That's the curriculum. Just allow me a second here. Pardon the delay, just give me a second more, few seconds, and I think I should be back.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Okay, so for the first level, what we were, looking at is, understanding the environment, students encounter their encounters daily, right? The theme just connects students with their immediate surrounding, right? Whether you're in the rural or urban setting. Now, some of the objectives that we've captured for this is, and like I said, these objectives, we've aligned them with the Bloom's taxonomy, right? So it's easy for you, just like he said, to walk from simple to complex, right? You can start by observing and describing simple environmental changes, right? Simple environmental changes, right? It could even be as little as having students understand seasonal changes, right? Helping them understand seasonal changes, right? I would even dare to say that beyond the seasonal changes that we have, for example, in our part of the world, right, where, largely we just have, rainy season, dry season, right? Expose them to, seasonal changes even in other parts of the world globally, right? Right, so that when you have your kids in the midst of people who are talking about autumn, spring, winter, and all of that, they know what is being said, what is being referred to, and all of these things, right? And at the minimum, what you can do as a project-based learning activity for that level is to have them maintain a journal, right? A weather journal, right? It could be for the half term, right? From beginning of the term to midterm, right? It could be for the entire term, right? You can split them into groups. You can do simple experimentation. Now, ideally, something that is in this manner, you want to do during the summer term, right? Particularly when it has to do with plant growth and all of that, right? It's usually best around that period, right? So you want to maybe time or target those periods. Now, those are the periods where flowers are usually blooming and all of that. So you want to target all of these periods for that. But if you are not in that time, what's the name? It doesn't mean you cannot, carry out. Like I said, these are just suggestions on activities that you can, carry out. Importantly, the one that gets me psyched the most is having them create a local resource map, right? Right? Having them create a local resource map. It could be again for their immediate community. It could be for their local government, their state at large, right? They can create an immediate resource map, right? At their level, maybe you can have them take on maybe extra classes to show them how to draw all of these things. Now, if you are going to take on this particular level, right, this will require that you work hand in hand with your art teacher, right? Maybe you call it fine arts or your art teacher, design and arts, and all of that, or maybe even technical drawing teacher and all of that. Those are people that you want to work with, right? And a PBL project in this line would also maybe have you even collaborating with the English teacher, right? So as opposed to your English teacher just giving out assignments or composition that are random, right? You can ask that your English teacher give them, instead of you taking a random composition, how about taking a composition that's on a weather journal, right? How about taking composition from that aspect, right? A weather journal composition, right? If the curriculum of practice, your scheme practice or your lesson note is, very stringent, and the teacher cannot find a way to mix it up in there, how about have her or him give it to them as an assignment, right? That way, you can even help your student to begin to see that I'm not teaching you, science, basic science in isolation, right? I'm not teaching you art in isolation, right? Fine art in isolation, right? I'm teaching you, for example, if it's a fine art teacher that picked up this level and wants to teach it to his, kids, right? Maybe you are doing still life drawing of maybe fruit, and I think it's called still life drawing, I believe. I think that's what it's called. If that's what you're doing, right, you can build up your lesson in such a way that, yes, we're doing still life drawing, but how about the knowledge about learning how to even plant these things? If your still life drawing is a fruit, let's plant these things, right? At the worst, beans or tomatoes, right? I think that's about maximum 2 or 3 months, right? Thereabouts, you should be able to, get harvest from it, right? That makes this entire level even much more interesting, even at that GS1, what's the name? If you are reading weather journals, all of the, presentation that they are going to make, okay, can they make posters? Can they make discussions? Can they give discussions and all of that? So, and that's why we say PBL and STEM is a collaborative effort, right? It's a collaborative effort. You can do it alone, but it makes much more sense when you do it alongside other teachers, other subjects, right? So let me just quickly hop back into the question. So when you say level 1, do you mean basic 1? So for level 1, we loosely aligned it with JSS1, right? I believe that basic are used in the elementary level, but I can dare tell you that from experience, looking at what we've done, I think you can loosely align this to the upper elementary. That's from year 3, 4, 5, and 6. So if you are teaching in the elementary level, you can take a look at these levels that we've done on this curriculum. You'll begin to see that you should see that they align also. You can find how to, bring the experience to classes like year 3, 4, 5, and 6, right? I know that they do something like this also in year 3, right? In year 4, so year 4 will now be level 2, right? And then year 5 will be level 3, year 6 will be level 4, right? So the work that you have there is just the remember, understand, apply, analyze, evaluation, and creation. I just fixed both of them inside of C. That's creativity, creating, right? Those are the Bloom's taxonomy, right? Remember, R for remember, right? Understanding, and then you have application of knowledge, and then you have analysis, and then you have evaluating, and then you have evaluation, and then you have creative. So are we teaching STEM as a separate subject, probably establishing STEM club, and teaching using this curriculum, or are we incorporating it in our Nigerian curriculum? That answer really is up to you as an individual teacher, and as what you can do, how much you are willing to run. If your school is open to the idea of a STEM club, right, you can teach this as a STEM club. You can take this and create a STEM club, right? But if not, if you think that you cannot, shoulder all of those alongside all of the other responsibilities that you may have, you can incorporate this also, even in the Nigerian curriculum, right? You can incorporate it even in a Nigerian curriculum. Now, remember that this is just one of the levels, right? Not only is this just one of the levels, this is one of the levels of one of the core areas of science. There's still biological science, there's still physical science. So in GS1, it is very difficult to think that in the entire GS1 scheme, you would not find a topic that in science, in basic science, that falls into one of these categories, these core areas, whether it's biological science, physical science, or earth and space science. Right? It's difficult, right? So when you do find that one, instead of you teaching that topic as just teaching it, say, maybe you have your wonderfully written lesson plan and all of that. How about going this route and making it into a full-fledged project-based learning, right? And give them that STEM experience even in that topic that you are doing. So you can start with them in week 3 when you get to that topic. Imagine you start that topic in week 3. You fetch this project-based learning topic out in week 3. In week 4, you can still go ahead and teach what you have on your scheme. But remember that it's a project-based learning, right? And just like someone asked yesterday, that can you use this in a blended learning scenario? So it doesn't mean that once you are out of that week 3, you are done. No. Right? Because there are still some things, when we get to the PDL planner, it will help you understand better how these things work, right? Because you have to have your entry event, you have to think about your resources, all of the resources you will need, and your opening activity and all of that, right? So whichever route you go, you are still on the right path. If you want to make it into a STEM, what's the name? Lovely. Right? If not, if you want to incorporate it into your curriculum, that's also fine. Please, can we have access to the class recording? Yes, you would. You would get access to it. Please, can I still include STEM in an already prepared scheme? Yes, you can. Yes, you can. very much. You can include STEM in an already prepared scheme. You are not limited to what you've prepared. Maybe let me take another example. Let me take another example from what we have so far. Maybe this time around, let me take year 6, pardon me, level 6, which is your SS3 level. Or maybe let's do, yes, this is the first term, you still have your SS3 students very much available. Now, the theme is innovating for a greener Nigeria. Innovating for a greener Nigeria. Now, the idea behind this, innovating for a greener Nigeria, is to encourage development of innovative solutions to pressing environmental problems specific to Nigeria, right? We are emphasizing creativity and practical impact, right? Creativity and practical impact are what is being emphasized at that level for them because, of course, they are, much more mature, right? Innovating for a greener Nigeria, right? Solutions for pressing environmental problems specific to Nigeria. Now, some of the skills that, some of the concepts that will be taught around this now would be independent scientific inquiry, innovations in environmental science, right? Advanced problem solving and communication of scientific ideas, right? These things, right? Let's even imagine that your students at SS3, they've never had experience with them before, right? They don't know how to go about independent scientific, inquiry and all of that. So this provides a very, useful opportunity for them, right? Look at some of the objectives that they are working on. They are creating, right? They are designing and executing an independent research project with a focus on innovation, right? It's independent, right? These are some of the things that you'll be given at the university level, right? As your final year project, right? Now, imagine what this is doing to the mind of those kids, however many they are, right? It can last for a whole term from the beginning of, in fact, it can even last for the entire SS3 period, right? But the student is tasked to come up with, an independent research project. If you are going to guide them, you can even give them a template, to work with, right? And you'll be amazed at what they will come up with. Videos help out. The work of other schools, other teachers, other people, other companies, they help out. I remember my first year of teaching design and technology, right? I was teaching design and technology, and one of the projects we worked on then was a project I was inspired by when I happened to stumble across the work of Dyson. So Dyson is a famous engineer, but he's made lots of inventions, and he has a school now, a college, where he just brings in people who think like a think tank, they engineer things, right? So if you have heard about the bladeless fan, right? The Dyson, I think it's called Dyson Air Multiplier. That's what it's called, right? It's a fan that doesn't have a blade. Well, actually, if you look at the structure of it, it does have a blade, but it's just not in the traditional way that you think about it. So it's a fan that is more effective, right? Think about those standing fans that you have or those ceiling fans. Right? It made one without a blade, so there is no hazard of your child getting accidentally his fingers cut out or what have you. You can literally put your hand inside and all of that. Right? And the beauty of that design is that it is even more effective, right? And that's why they call it air multiplier. So it's more effective than the fan that we have, right? Someone had to rethink those designs, right? So much so that it's made a wheelbarrow. So for those farmers, like one of the issues that they have, you may have had this issue maybe doing environmental sanitation on Saturday when we're still doing it in Lagos and all of that, or if you've gone to the village, right? Where you have your wheelbarrow, you have lots of mud stuck on it, and it makes the tire difficult to move, particularly when you're carrying heavy objects. Right? You have extra. And he made one that cannot have that issue, alongside the many designs that he's come up with and the many useful designs that his students have come up with. So let me bring this back, right? So another thing that's the objective of this is communicating scientific findings effectively through various mediums. Right? They're either doing it as a report, a presentation, or digital media, right? Evaluate and propose innovative solutions to significant environmental problems. Right? So I said at the, if you were in yesterday's class, remember how that I emphasized that you are providing solutions in the best of your capacity. Right? Your solution doesn't have to be the one that the entire world endorses. Right? If all your students can do is to identify and say that, okay, innovating for a greener Nigeria, right? I think that in my area, even as little as in my school environment, right, we have the only place where you find plants, right, like a garden, is maybe around the staff room. Right, every other place you don't see you don't see things like that. If your students are willing to even take it upon themselves to have that garden, right, make a garden, right, make all of those demarcations, right, design those demarcations, calculate them. What are the lengths? What's the length you need? What are all of these things that you need, right? That's something, right? Right, that's something for them at their level. So let me quickly run through some of the activities here. And I believe that for those in the SS3 level, if you are teaching maybe either biological science, physics, or chemistry, you can already begin to see how some of these things, may apply to you, right? So develop innovative solutions to a major environmental issue and create a prototype or a model, right? A prototype or a model. So it doesn't have to be a finished, what's the name, right? Your prototype can even be as little as a design, a 3D design using maybe Tinkercad or any 3D software and all of that, right? Prepare and deliver a comprehensive presentation or multimedia project on your research findings, right? On your research findings, right? That also doesn't need a tangible product, right? Engage with real-world environmental challenges through partnership with local organizations or initiatives. When are the SS3 students going to get out there and go to the water corporation, right? When are they going to visit the water corporation and ask, right? It can even be as little as an interview, right? Have them seek for interviews. Let them have people, if they don't get the MD of the water corporation, let them speak to someone who has some form of authority, right? Some kind of authority. And let them share with them, these are some of the challenges we are facing, and then they can go back home, take 3-4 weeks, think around what could be a possible solution. Look at the effect of it, make a detailed presentation on what they think is possible. And all of these don't necessarily need them making the actual product, a tangible physical product. All of these still gear around, the intangible ones. Let's quickly take biological science. Now, I'll take a random level, right? A random level in biological science, let's say GS3, right? Complexity in classification, right? Introduce the complexities of classifying living and non-living things, emphasizing that classification is not always straightforward. Now, this will now fall between areas of taxonomy. So maybe taxonomy, I think to a large extent will be done maybe in biology SS1. So, and even an SS1 class can be looking at this level 3, if this is what you want to do when it comes to taxonomy, right? There's no one rule fits all, right? This is just for the different levels of the class. And you may even find that for your school, right, doing a sort of baseline assessment of your school, you may find that, oh, for my school, my SS3 students may be the class that will be needing the level 2 and not necessarily the level 6, right? You may want to look at it from that aspect, from that angle, right? And make do with it. Then let me quickly look at the physical science. Let me take level 4 for here for this physical science, right? Harnessing energy for purpose. Harnessing energy for purpose. Explore the more deliberate use of forces and energy in designing systems with a focus on innovation and application in real world context, right? Harnessing energy for purpose, right? And some of the things that concept that they'll be covering is advanced energy conservation, complex system designs and analysis. For a year one, for an SS1 student, this shouldn't be too daunting, right? Because even in year 3 and year, pardon me, I keep saying year 3 and year 2, in GSS 3 and GSS 2, they would have done in basic science and technology some of this. I know that in basic science and technology in GSS 2, they will have done things around pulley systems. They will have looked at pulley system gears and levers, and all of that. They will have done all of those, right? And so these concepts can, they can easily relate with this. They already have like a prior knowledge to this that sort of helps them cushion and settle into all of this. And some of the projects that they can be looking at, some of the project-based learning blocks that they can be looking at considering really is design an efficient and energy efficient device, right? Energy efficient device, right? Whether it's a wind powered car, it could be those little miniature cars, samples, models, right? That they will normally do, right? Okay, I can see someone putting a check mark there. Okay. Conduct experiment to optimize energy flow in a simple system. Right? Create presentation on renewable energy, sees and how they can be harnessed locally, right? So these are wonderful project-based ideas that the students can then flesh out, right? Right? They can flesh it out as it best applies to them. Let me see again if there are questions. Okay, someone's answered already. Remembering, understanding. This program is designed both for public and private school throughout the Federation. So how is rural areas? Okay, I believe, how does rural areas benefit from this program? Okay, so how do you benefit from this program? If you look at some of the levels, the theme, the description of the theme that has been covered here, right? You can find a sweet spot that meets the class that you teach, the school that you teach in, and the particular rural environment where you found yourself. So none of these things did we consider impossible, right? If you think you've noted or you spotted one that's impossible, if you share an example, I would do well to help you see how to achieve it, right? Maybe in simpler terms, right? So you can benefit from this program by using this curriculum, right? Applying this curriculum to what it is that you already have, right? What it is that you already have on ground, whether it's your Nigerian curriculum lesson plan or scheme and all of that, you can apply as a case may be. Someone is annotating. Okay, please don't touch that thing that looks like a pencil, right? Someone is helping us. Don't touch that thing that looks like a pencil. Like when you annotate, it sort of affects everyone's screen. Okay, so let's come back So please, how do we mark attendance? Attendance will be shared towards the end of the class, right? What are the job opportunities for those that's not teaching or not a teacher in a school? My dear brother or sister, Raphael, okay, I think that's a brother. If you are not teaching in a school, what are the job opportunities? You can consider freelance, doing your own stuff, right? Your own business. And one of the business that comes to mind is having a STEM school, right? You can run a STEM school. It could be weekend classes. It could be weekday classes. You can offer your expertise to schools, right? Schools that don't have a STEM club and all of that. You can offer, and the good thing about it is that you can even use this curriculum, right? You can use this curriculum. It's made for you. It's free. It's supposed to help you, with all of these things, right? If you follow, there's a wonderful teacher that's a good role model, teacher Chike. If you search for him on Instagram, I think you should find time to follow him. He's a wonderful teacher who has done wonderfully well. I know he won the Maltina award for the best teacher from a rural environment, right? When that happened, or whenever I see things like that, right, it just brings to mind that forget it, whether you are in an urban school setting or rural, you are not disadvantaged. Right? You are not disadvantaged. He won it from that environment where he was, somewhere in the eastern part of the country. Right? And he's still there till date, right? And from where he is there, he's had opportunities to, travel, out of the country. He's done lots of tours, and all of that. So you are not disadvantaged. The job opportunities for you, if you are going to, work in the education sector, right, is to either offer your expertise to schools as a STEM club, or if you want to run your own freelance STEM coaching school, right, you can, separate all of those things, right? You don't even have to run it as science, technology, engineering, arts, and math, right? Right? Who says you cannot have an engineering club? Who says you cannot have a science club? So even though you are doing it's called a science club, you are still using the skills that are gotten from STEM, because there's no way you will do that science where you won't have to at some point talk about the technology involved, talk about some aspect of math or some aspect of the engineering involved. I was not able to fill the attendance link yesterday. Please reach out to the admin. Please, it's getting boring for me. I'm a commercial teacher. Okay, right, commercial teachers, I hear you. I'll take a quick detour now and show you how this is applicable, right? So just give me 5 minutes. When I'm done with this, everyone just accommodate us. Let's also accommodate commercial. You are in commercial field, you are in arts field, you are thinking, how does STEM apply to me, right? How can I incorporate it? I'll show you, right? I think this platform is basically for science teachers alone. No, not really, right? Every teacher can be a STEM teacher, right? And that's why one of the things I was making allusions to yesterday when I said having it as part of your curriculum, as part of your curriculum vitae, your CV, can give you that edge, can give you that boost, right? I mean, the scientist you mentioned. I think the platform is basically for scientists. Give us an icebreaker. Okay, the scientist, his name is Dyson, James Dyson, right? If you search for the Dyson air multiplier, right, that should take you to a page. That should show you the fan, right? And if you look for the company or the person who's made it, you'll find him there, James Dyson, right? He also he has like a PBL. He has like an education resources bank also. That's also very useful, that you may find very useful. I'm unable to yes, teacher Chike, I'm unable to mark the attendance. Just reach out to the admin. I read through what's being shared on the screen. I saw it's mainly for sciences. Can you bring what will interest the commercials tomorrow? I'm bringing in now. can we get this sheet template? Yes, you would get it, right? Kindly send the attendance. I'm an history teacher. How do I apply this concept? Aside virtual excursions. Okay, just give me Dyson, no, D-Y-S-O-N. D-Y-S-O-N. English teacher, how do I relate? Okay, so I'll answer all of these questions. So let me start from those that, have concerns for, commercial, you are in the commercial or you're in the arts, and, you're not, sure how to get all of this that's, that's been mentioned. All right, so let's get to it. Okay, so while I'm trying to represent my screen, Khadija Musa. Okay, the hand is no longer up. I thought I noticed a hand up. Just give me a second. Okay, so you want to find out how you can incorporate this into arts and government, right? So let me share with you some of the notes that I put up yesterday. Maybe I'll just maybe put this on a proper document and maybe convert to PDF and share also on the page, right? Presently, I'm not presenting, so you may want to come back and pin my account to your screen. All right, so for the commercial, right, at the GS1 level, you can consider a business introduction to business and technology, right? I believe in GS1, they will have started things like business studies and all of that. Basic business concepts, right? At that level, right? Now, students can create digital budget plans using spreadsheet software, right? Digital budget plans using spreadsheet software. And so when you are doing that, you will notice that you're already doing mathematics and you're already doing technology, right? Even though the subjects you are teaching them would be, or maybe it's business studies, right? If it so coincides with the time where they are also learning profits and interest, profit, interest and loss, or profit and loss and all of that, compound interest, simple interest and all of those things, perfect, right? Which they would even have had experience with in primary 6 or primary 5, right? So it shouldn't be something that's so difficult for them to walk along with, right? You are teaching them the basics of financial management and how to use technology in making financial decisions, right? At that level, right? Maybe at a more senior level, SS1, or maybe GS3, you can do introduction to marketing, right? You are teaching students how data is used in marketing, conduct small surveys, and use simple data analysis tools, right? Data analysis tools should be maybe things like even Excel or Google Sheet, or to chart customers' preferences. They can pick any product. It could be their own product. It could be products from a volunteer, either their parents' company, their parents' business, small scale business, large scale business, whatever it is, right? If none of these are available, they can just sample. They can sample a particular business, reach out to that business and have them come in at some point and and do all of this, right? The objective for them at that point is just to understand how businesses use data, right? How businesses use data. So that again also involves, technology, right? And in all of these things that I'm pointing out, you can also sense the connection with the real world problems, right? When they are done with all of these analysis and charts, you'll be amazed that they can use those analysis and charts to then make inference or suggestions to these businesses, right? They can make inference or suggestions to these businesses. Maybe at year SS1, you can do things like digital business models, right? Digital business models. And when I say digital business models, I'm thinking about things like e-commerce, right? Introduce students to e-commerce platforms. They can simulate setting up a simple online store, right? A simple online store, right? And there are several platforms that can offer you those free of charge, right? Simple online store. If you're a commerce person, you don't have experience with all of these aspects, maybe it's getting too much into the technology part, you can speak to your computing teacher, right? You can maybe watch videos, YouTube videos, right? At the best, you can even reach out. That's why there's a community of teachers. There are things that I reach out to teachers for, things that I don't know, right? And that's why it's important to join several, teaching communities where you can always drop your concern. All right. Understand how the internet enables business and businesses to explore the basics of online trading. Maybe for SS3, you can do things like entrepreneurship and technology in business, business plan development, even though, if you ask me, business plan development should have been done earlier, maybe in GS2, right? In GS2. I'm saying GS2 because I've had this done in GS2, right? And the amazing part of, doing this was what we came up with the students was, when everyone comes up with their business, it wasn't a large class then, it was a private school, there were about eight students, right? So it was easy to manage, right? Everyone comes up with their business plan, your business name, your business model, you pitch your business. There was a day that was, dedicated to the presentation. They all came with their presentation. We had refined it beforehand, looked to their presentation, make corrections, how they are planning to make profit, how they are planning to make loss, and all of that. And the deal was the best, which will be voted for by the parent, those that attend. We would then help the person register, right? That was all we could do at that point. So think about all of those, right? If it's funding, there are many ways you can fund, right? But at that level, if you ask me, I don't think in today's world that there should be any student graduating from secondary school who doesn't have a business, right? Who doesn't have a plan for business, right? No matter how vague it is, right? They have to have one, right? It's become a necessity. Right? One of the reasons why we are not, plunging out through that poverty line is because a lot of people learn about business too late. Right? Some majority of Nigerian students only find out about business, buying and selling, maybe when they are in level 300 level, about to finish university. That's when that, thing first occurs to them. And the world has changed rapidly so much, right? If you're unable to do the, the e-commerce one online, how about them setting up a simple WhatsApp store, right? Depending on what they are selling, talk to your teachers, talk to your people. Let them even, be the people that would patronize them, to encourage them, right? And it's also a good thing to teach your student to fail, right? Not every business would work. If your plan is not solid enough, it fails. But at the end of the day, it adds to the experience, right? It could die a natural death. It could die deaths, maybe due to lack of planning and so on and so forth. So let me see. I hope that these ideas are useful. What if there are no facility? Okay, so let me, I think I've missed some. Yes, James Dyson, someone has put that up. I put on YouTube yesterday, but couldn't sign my attendance due to network. Please reach out to the admin. Today, the admin on the group, whether you're on the Telegram, WhatsApp group, please reach out to the admin. Please, let's calm down. You will share the attendance when, yes, it will be shared. The attendance will be shared when it is time. But can't you answer my question? Please, Khadija Musa, please, you have to post that question again. I may have, skipped it. Apologies. What if there is no facility to, to carry out this? What can we do? Now, are you referring to the science facilities, amenities, or are you referring to the commercial aspect, right? But I would think that for both situations, just improvise. If there are no facilities, at the minimum, you should have a classroom, right? You should have a classroom, and a classroom really is all you need, right? For some of the science things that I've talked about so far, the ones in the science pillar, at the minimum, you have a compound, a school compound, right, that you can use. Your compound, maybe your classroom maybe has a backyard that you can use. So I think that should work. Maybe if you provide me more context, I will be able to answer better, provide you better advice on how to go about it. They can learn to create a no-code e-commerce mobile app or website. Yes, that's a huge thumbs up, right? I know whoever made that post is also following trends, right? So there are no-code e-commerce websites. Just maybe drag and drop. Just put your name, right? Even in the age of AI, just put your name, your business type, a business description, and it will create all of those things for you, right? So all that's left for the students, put on the students' table, is how to push up their website, get someone to patronize them or get someone to see it and all of that. I was unable to make use of local available materials. I think if you provide me better context, I would definitely be able to help out. A situation whereby there is no tools in the school to actualize it. Everything I've mentioned so far really doesn't rely excessively on the schools. It does rely on you, right? Remember yesterday I started by saying I'm a concerned teacher, right? If you're a concerned teacher, I think you can pull off all of these things. It really doesn't rely excessively on the schools, right? It really doesn't rely excessively on the school. If you're in the rural community, and let me take an example from the rural community and also from the private, from the urban community. If you're in the rural community, maybe is it the business, the commercial part? I don't see any that really needs the school's intervention. I don't think I've mentioned anyone really that really needs the school's intervention. Again, if you provide more context, okay, it's raining everywhere, I can't hear you again. Whereby no tools, there are no tools in the school. Okay, so for the science, I want to assume maybe you are referring to science now. If you're referring to science now, the tools that you will need really, it must be for me, Lauren, it's raining here, seriously, okay. The tools that you will need really, for everything that's been mentioned, say, take for example, the level 1 where we talked about yourself and your environment, weather patterns, a weather map for their local, what's the name? That doesn't really require the school's intervention. All you need for that is a pen and a paper, right? You are in a secondary school, maybe at the senior level, you have a geography teacher who can shed more light on what is achievable, what they can do at their level, right? And that's just about all you need. perhaps except if there is a need to buy maybe those special papers that they use for their maps, all of those. I think A5 or what have you. Maybe that's the only time where you are thinking of finance, right? But you can always improvise, right? You can always improvise. You can always improvise all of those. If it's the garden that I mentioned, right? If it's, again, it's within the rural areas, these are kids that will most likely even have experience with planting and all of that. So I'm very sure that it will come very easy. And for some of these things, one of the major places where a school will come in handy is where you need permission or consent from parents, just to let them know what you are doing. Like if you are going to visit a business place, for example, you just don't want to suddenly take the student out of school, right? It's best practice. I mean, it may be allowed, but may not be the perfect way to go about it. The best practice is to allow parents know beforehand what you are planning to do, and let them, give their consent. I hope that helps, Ms. Khadija. Let me know again if you still need more clarity. Okay, that seems to be all of the questions for now. So let's look at government, right? So you're teaching government, right? And you're wondering, how does this apply to me, right? So in JS1, I don't even think they do government in JS1. Maybe this will be helpful for maybe the person doing business studies also. Maybe when they are doing where they will start covering things that are related to governmental system. Maybe they are looking at the federal system, the state system, local government system, and all of those things, right? You can begin to consider governance and data, right? You want to introduce the idea of governance and data, right? They can create simple charts showing the population of Nigerian state and compare it to the number of government representative each state has. That will require them to do extensive research. Not only are they researching, they are collecting all of those data, tabulating them, presenting them in some form of chart and all of that. And that helps them even have a better understanding of population data, how those population data, influences, the government representatives or government representation. They find that larger states have more government representation, and smaller states maybe not too many. Helps them see that connection, right? And when they do this, when it's their work, their PBL work, and they are presenting it, right? Either presenting to another classroom, their parents, the public at large, maybe the local government, they go to the local government, and making all of this, presentation. It's something that, stays longer with them, right? Stays longer with them, right? They can be solving with that is educating the public, right? Educating the public on what's obtainable. In the rural areas, that knowledge may not be as, as available, right? People in those areas maybe do not really care about all of those. And so enlightening the public on what's obtainable and that really works. I mean, if you can push yourself to make a banner, right? Maybe or make a signpost on a very popular street and all of that, with all of those infographics and things like that. I mean, wonderful, right? Wonderful. So in an SS1 class, you can be looking at government budgeting and data analysis, right? And the objective of this, the idea around it is just to understand how data informs government budgeting and the allocation of resources, right? Students can analyze a simplified version of Nigerian's budget. Nigerian's budget and all of the details are available in PDF version of it. If you don't have access to the recent one, you can get even the one from the previous years, right? And you can use that as a case study, right? This is an SS1 class now. They can divide the resources between sectors, education, health, and simulate the consequence of budgets, cuts or increase, right? They can look at how budget cuts or increase, affect each of these different sectors, each of these different states, right? You can make it into a debate, right? You can even push a step further, right? Find schools, neighboring schools who are also interested in such a thing, and maybe have an inter-school debate on it, right? Those are ways that you can even get it to be more excited, right? I can even almost think that you can reach a wider audience if you explore social media, right? If they've done their job well, they can do a short video of all of these things that they've noted and the reasons behind them and all of that. They can even now social media, just about anything can go viral. I remember the last thing that went viral, even though I don't completely support it, was the debates for a particular boy, where I can't remember. It was a debate where they were talking about, I think it was about Nigeria or something, and it was viral video like 3, 4, 5 months ago, and the boy was too aggressive, right? He used some words that were quite strong and all of that, and so you never can tell. Those are some of the things that you can get your students, your pupils doing. Maybe in an SS2 class, you want to talk about national security and cybersecurity, right? Introduce students to concepts of cybersecurity and how government protects national information, right? They can simulate data breaches and discuss how government responds to cyber attack, understand the role of technology in maintaining national security. Now, some of these things now, because of the schools that I have taught, right? I have some students that have been teaching for more than 6 years, right? When I say more than 6 years, right? I've been teaching them from elementary even up until the secondary school level. So I consult for several schools, right? So I've had that privilege to find some of these things easily understandable to these schools. So this thing that I just give an idea of in SS2, I've done this in, I think, year 7, year 8, year 9, right? You can find ways, of course, you can find ways to make all of this work. Okay. No. So I'm not presenting any slide yet. I'm sharing ideas. I think I'll pause here. Ideas for commercial departments and government departments. You will see that in everything I've said so far, there are several ways that you can integrate the mathematics, data, and that's why data was a very core part. We broke mathematics into data, and then representation, shapes and representations, right? And then you saw a lot of technology infused in there, right? You saw a lot of technology infused in there. So let's look at technology now. Let's look at technology. Let's see what it entails, what we have done inside of, the curriculum. So this would be a quick one. Since they are just 2, we are already close to, this is 2 hours on the dot. So we have just about an hour left. So we can quickly do this in a few minutes and look at our PBL planner. So let's start from this slide. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen now and everyone will be able to see my screen. Okay, so everyone should be able to see my screen now. So we've divided technology into coding and robotics, right? Under coding, we're introducing students to programming languages and logical thinking, right? A PBL example for this is developing a simple game or app that addresses a local issue. A simple game or app that addresses a local issue, right? Another thing that we have done for the technology pillar is also to add another core area, which is robotics, right? Now, if you are here and you don't have experience with the former, which is coding, I would advise that you start now, right? I would advise that you start Now, it's very important. It's very important for every teacher. You don't need to be a pro at it, but you actually need the basic knowledge, the basic concept, right? At the minimum for every teacher, whether you're in the elementary or secondary school or at the secondary school level, at the minimum, you should understand visual based programming, right? Block-based programming, visual-based programming, right? Visual-based programming are not those ones that have to do with a lot of symbols and text and all of that. It's just blocks. On the blocks, you already see what they do. So it's just about connecting each block together, taking a piece of block, adding it to another one, and making something, interesting happen, right? Every teacher should have that at the back of, as a skill at the back of their mind, right? Even if you're an art teacher, history teacher, and you understand coding, if you put it in your CV and say, okay, coding, block-based programming with Scratch, and I think Scratch is the most common, right? Even though the world is gradually moving away from Scratch, but Scratch is the most common, right? And you can start, from there, right? Robotics teaches the basics of building and programming robots, right? Designing and programming a robot to perform a specific task, like sorting recyclables, right? Now, let me show you, because of time, I'll just go straight to showing you what each of the levels under these things that I've mentioned, show you what each of the levels contains. So what are the measuring tools? What are the measuring tools? Okay, I see some comments saying 6 to 8. Would you just give me a few seconds I'd like to confirm what information was passed, just to be sure that we are on the same page. Please just allow me confirm that. I believe that it should be for 6 to 9, but let's see. If it's 6 to 8, then we would have to end the class, and maybe the other part I'll just do a recording and then I'll share. Okay, 6 to 8 it says, right? 6 to 8. Okay. Thank you so much for that reminder. Thank you so much for that reminder, right? So we would stick to, what we've said earlier, 6 to 8, right? Of course, we have to consider those that were in school today, those that had to, from school, you are joining in here, and it can be stressful, right? And no one wants to miss any part of it, right? But this is what we would do, right? I would have to, make a recording. I'll do a recording where I would explain the other part of the things that, we're hoping to cover today. Right? I may do it in batches so that it's not too cumbersome and you can take them one chunk after the other and you can digest them at your convenience. However, what that means is before Friday, we would have to have gone through them so that when we're coming on Friday, we're not going back to what we should have known before the Friday class, right? If everyone agrees with that, please just leave a thumbs up in the comment section. Just kindly leave a thumbs up in the comment section. All right, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So just allow me confirm with the attendance, and then I think we should be good to go. Just allow me confirm with the attendance. While the attendance is being sorted, just let me go through again if there are any questions. Don't know how much about the program. If you are not paid, how much are you paying? This question I asked, so no harms, please. I don't think there are any questions I may have missed. Okay, so attendance, right? So just allow a few seconds, right? And the attendance will be shared. One more question, please. What will be